Hello chess friends and welcome to your of Chess channel and welcome to the most spectacular game from the TCEC Season 26 Premier Division that you can follow now on the official and beautiful TCEC website. We have here RubiChess against Leela C Zero in a breathtaking Winawer variation of the French Defense. And usually when you follow this AI chess, this top engine chess, usually white is many times destroying, dismantling, really stretching the French Defense, this Winawer variation with really epic position play. For instance, when Stockfish or Leela C Zero are playing with the white pieces against the Winawer, most of the times you see really epic, great games from white's perspective. But now, can someone do something with the black pieces in the French defense in the Winawer variation? So it's, I think, a huge question because many of us still kind of like to play this opening. I've seen it also in top GM level, in international master level. Many times we see the masters of the game are trying still the Winawer French, sometimes with success, sometimes of course without success, but it's very interesting to see also top engines like Leela C Zero or Stockfish playing the Winawer French with the black pieces. So when we talk about the current standings, standings are really also very thrilling. Stockfish and Leela C Zero are in the lead. Stockfish has half of the point more than Leela C Zero, but has also played one game more, so Leela C Zero with potential draw will of course catch up to Stockfish, or with the win of course would even be on the first place. So Leela C Zero is playing really great season so far in this new TCEC competition. So let's see now this game, RubiChess against Leela C Zero in a really spectacular Winawer French. So with the white pieces here, RubiChess opened with the move e4. We have e6 by Leela, the French, d4, d5, knight to c3, and now comes the Winawer variation with the move bishop to b4, e5, the advanced variation, c5. Here breaking the center, a3, we're still in the standard line, and now bishop takes c3. After b takes c3, okay, let's talk about first of all the common problems and the common strategies. Of course, white has the bishop pair, which is a strategic advantage, but of course white has also strategic disadvantage with this double pawn structure. So that's why I think still a playable opening, but sometimes we don't know the best continuation, the best sidelines. Also, what you have problems are several dark square problems here, and also in some lines with a4, bishop to a3, you could have also dark square problems there. So that's, I think, the issue also for black. You gave up your key protector of dark squares, of course, the dark square bishop. So from this point on, the game becomes really a huge positional battle for both engines. So here Leela continues with queen to c7. We have queen to g4, immediately attacking the weakness that we have talked about. f6, Leela connects now the queen to the g7 pawn. We have now knight to f3, normal development, now c4. Good move, I think, by Leela C Zero. Really a necessary move because you keeping the pawn structure blocked, and in blocked out pawn structures I think the knights are a little bit better. The knights will always find good squares all over the board. Of course you have to reshuffle, you have to reroute the knight somewhere, but the knight will always find a path. When the position is blocked out, of course the bishops don't have so many activities, don't have so many spaces to attack. So that's why c4, good strategic, a good positional move here by Leela C Zero. Bishop to e2, queen to f7, simply getting the queen closer to the king, protecting so far the king. We have a4 by RubiChess, normal stuff. We have seen it many times. This is now the main motif of white in the Winawer French, putting more pressure on this diagonal. Now at least the dark square bishop is getting some kind of an activity, because on this side of the board the dark square bishop, okay, can be developed here, maybe to e3, maybe to f4, but when it comes on e3 or f4, it's always blocked out a little bit by its own pawn structure. So that's why getting it here is much better here for white. We have now knight to c6 calcing, bishop to d7, and now here RubiChess plays a theoretical novelty, a completely new move that we have not seen so far in top grandmaster chess or in some other databases. I didn't see this continuation by white. So in the chess history, bishop to a3, I see here one game, the knight to h6 was played by black. Here queen to f4 can be played, but then you can play something like this after f takes e5, simplifying the game. For instance, if white continues with queen to h3, I see also one game in the database. Then we can play queenside calcing after something like this. e5 is a threat. So White has also problems here where to attack, so it's not like you play bishop to a3 and you're completely winning the game. So that's why here e takes f6 makes also perfectly sense, because you have to now take with the pawn. If you take with the knight, of course you're left simply with the strategic disadvantage. You're left first of all with the backward pawn on e6, but also with the weak square on e5. White will simply continue the pressure on the e file, and I think you could crack here. The bishop is always stuck to the defense of the e6 pawn, so strategically taking here the pawn with the knight would be a suicide for black. So after e takes f6, that's why g takes f6, queen to f4, and now knight from g to e7. Queen to c7 here. RubiChess is attacking simply the weakness. Leela protects it with bishop to c8. We have now knight to h4, knight to g6. RubiChess retreats. We have a couple of trades of knights, and now a5, h5 here. Of course, a very important move. Bishop to h5 was now the huge threat here by white. We have a queen to f4, bishop to d7, and now again RubiChess attacks dark squares that we have talked about in the beginning. Also, that could be a problem for black. You have given up your dark square bishop. Now white is simply attacking the dark squares all over the board. And we have bishop to c8. Again, Leela is trying to connect everything to even trade off queens. I think if the queens are off the board here, black is here solid play. The main goal then would be something like e5, and then maybe even go for positional trades of pieces, maybe trade off the light square bishops. Then if the light square bishops, for instance, in this position and also in some other positions are off the board, then white is simply left, I think, with a strategically bad bishop. Sort of the bishop, okay, has an activity, but it's also a little bit always stuck to the defense of this dark square pawns that could be attacked maybe later by the knight somehow. So as I said, taking here the queen for white here on f7 is not an option. White has to keep the pieces on the board. White has to be progressive. White still has to somehow attack the position. We have now queen to d6, bishop to d7. We have now a couple of repetitions, and now h4 here by RubiChess. Now finally queenside castling by Leela. We have now bishop to f4 by RubiChess. You see, RubiChess is threatening checkmate in one, so that's why Leela is again forced to cover the c7 square. Queen to a3, and still these dark square problems I think are obvious here. Look at this: b4, a5, c5, even I think b6, d6 is weak. So many positional problems so far by Leela. But Leela, I think, is simply the best positional chess engine in the world, even better than Stockfish. Stockfish is, as I mentioned many times, the tactical beast, the calculator. But when it comes to pure understanding of the activity of pieces, was weak square, I don't know, weak pawn positions, positional ideas, I think Leela C Zero is slightly better than Stockfish. You see now how Leela C Zero try to handle this dark square problems all over the board. After queen to a3, queen to e7, again with the same goal, trading off the queens, simplifying the game, going maybe again for the trades of light square bishops. So we have now queen to b2, bishop to g6, hitting also the weakness here on c2 that white has now, I think, here through the whole game. And the tough quest, of course, is also for white to defend this pawn. You can of course play bishop to d3 because black gained these spaces here with the move c4. We have bishop to f3, rook to d7, protecting now the b7 square, and now after rook from a to b1, now Leela C Zero comes up with a beautiful plan. Maybe just for fun, you can pause the video and try to see now, I don't know, an idea. What would you do now? Maybe we'll see, can you meet here Leela C Zero's progress? Can you meet here Leela C Zero's ideas? What should you do? What would you do now in this particular position? Take your time, think about this. It's very, I think, beautiful position, really something to think about. Very tough to defend, very also tough for white to attack. We have to say it. It's not so easy also to play now the game for both sides. So okay, here Leela C Zero found a beautiful plan with the move king to d8. Leela says, okay, I've castled, but now I'm going to simply to the other side. Okay, my weak spot, I think, in the position is here the b7 square. Also, we have to say the e6 pawn is a little bit weak. Also, maybe here the h5 is a little bit weak, but white has also problems. Look at this: a4, h4. The main still, I think, strategic goal for black somehow, if the game simplifies enough, maybe after trades of queens, is, I think, the e5 breakthrough. If that happens, this could be a nice plan for black, but so far it's of course not working. So here we have a rook from f to e1, simply putting more pressure against this backward pawn, against the pawn on e6. Leela gets here to e8, we have queen to c1 and king to f7. So see, Leela C Zero played with the king all over the board. Queen to d2, we have now rook to d8 and now a5 here by RubiChess. Good move, I think. An expansion here on the queen side you cannot take. Very, very dirty stuff here by RubiChess. a5. If you play that, then rook to b5 is going to happen. You retreat, but now bishop to d5 is winning the game, I think, here for white. Black's position is collapsing now. This is weak, this is weak. You cannot take, of course. You cannot also take with the rook. Will take, and you cannot take because of the rook's activity against the queen on e7. So this is not working. After move a5, that's why queen to d7. Here Leela C Zero gets out of this mess on the e file. We have now rook to a1, and now let's stop again evaluate the position. As I mentioned, look at this, h5 weak. We have now e6 weak here for black, b7 weak, a5 weak for white. Also the c2 pawn, and also I would say maybe even here the h4 pawn can be an object of black's attack, but still black has, I think, this option to play somehow bishop to f5 and bishop to g4. Simply, I think getting rid of the light square bishop is a crucial plan here for black, keeping white simply, as I said, with a strategically bad bishop on f4. We have now bishop to f5. Now Leela C Zero plays on this idea, tries to get the bishop on g4. We have queen to d1, bishop to g6. So far it's not working, but Leela C Zero is waiting here. Rook to a2, king to g7. We have rook to, queen to a1, liberating now maybe this file for the rook on the b file. So now maybe RubiChess is trying here to simply put more pressure against the weakness on b7. So we have now queen to f7, rook to b2, bishop to f5, rook to e3. You could maybe try rook from e to b1 to continue your plan on the b file, but this is not working. After rook to d7, you cannot play something like, I don't know, rook to b5. You would love to play maybe then rook to b2 and maybe queen to b1, but you cannot really get out of the second rank because then the pawn on c2 is weak. So as I said, tough position to play for both sides. I'm not sure which position I would love to play more. Seems, I think, more logical maybe to play the game with the white pieces because of the bishop pair, because of the rook, the open files for the rook, maybe because of the potential expansion here. So still, I kind of feel that white should be here slightly better. But okay, Leela is battling here. After rook to e3 instead of rook to b1 that we have discussed now, we have now rook to h7. Again, Leela is protecting the potential b7 weakness. We have now rook to b5. Here, what should you do? Again, bishop to c2 is not working. Seems tempting that you take out now the pawn, but now after queen to b2, you have to retreat with the bishop, and now the pawn is lost on b7, and then I think white should be much better. So after rook to b5, that's why Leela C Zero kept it calm, played now king to h8. Look where the king was already, the king was all over the place, was in the center of the board, was on the queen side. Now it's truly here on the king side. So it's really a crazy game here by Leela C Zero. Queen to e1, putting more pressure against also the pawn on e6. We have now king to g7, queen to a1, again a couple of repetition. Now bishop to g3, king to g1, rook to b2, rook to e8, and now here RubiChess is trying again to battle somehow here against the pawn on e6. We have now queen to d7. Again, you cannot play knight to a5. We have seen it previously. It's not working because of this line, rook to b5, and again bishop to d5. Now this is not this is a similar threat, but not the same. Of course, now the rook is endangered here, simply on the e file. After queen to e1, we have now queen to d7, rook to a2, king to f7. We have now queen to d1, rook from e to e8, rook from e to h8, and now after queen to b1, now Leela finds a brilliant plan, king to g6. So far, Leela had to defend this. Leela played very nice positional moves, really nice improvements, really nice solid defense. But now Leela C Zero goes, I think, for the attack. Wants simply finally to go for this move, bishop to g4. We have now rook to a1, knight to e7. First of all, a good reposition of the knight. Again, a couple of repetitions here. After bishop to f4, rook to g7, queen to b1, again rook to h7. We have now again this idea, queen to e1, and now king to f7. So you see, very tough to play now this position. King to g6 again, and now after bishop to e2, again king to f7. We have now king to h2. RubiChess is trying maybe even some ideas of f3, and then maybe g4 to somehow break and enter, somehow maybe endanger this bishop on f5. Here Leela continues with knight to e7, rook to a2, again with the idea maybe to put more pressure against this pawn on b7, knight to g6. We have bishop to g3, and now comes this move that we have talked about. Now Leela C Zero calculated that this should be again the main plan, but it was, I think, only possible when Leela C Zero routed the knight here to g6 when the king is more secured. Now I think from this point on Leela C Zero really equalized the game, maybe has now even good chances to make further progress, especially with the e5 plan that we have talked about, but it's not possible so far. But it seems to me that this should be your main idea to somehow crack open the position here in the center of the board. Here we have rook to b2, attacking again the b7 weakness. If you play something like bishop to f1, then rook to f8, f3, bishop to f5. Again, maybe with rook to e8, e5 could be played. So again, maybe a good position here for black. So after move bishop to g4, then we have now rook to b2. Leela C Zero has to cover again the b7 weakness. We have queen to c1, queen to f7, and now after queen to e1, now the real fun starts. So now you see Leela C Zero moved all of the pieces towards the king side, and Leela says, I have to do something, I have to make some kind of an attack, maybe just for fun again. Pause the video and try to see now the best continuation here for black. I'm not saying this move is completely winning or something, but again, we have to, I think, find the best solution of this position. But it's really crazy how these engines are playing, how Leela C Zero is calculating this position in a great way. So again, take your time and try to study this amazing position from the Winawer French. Okay, here Leela C Zero played a beautiful f5, leaves even here the pawn on e6 unprotected. So what should you do? For instance, you could maybe try here to move f3 to somehow lock even the bishop. But then look at this, f4 is going to happen, you take, you can even take out this one, but now after something like, I don't know, f takes e3, we have here queen to e3, and now you pick up simply the piece. The problem is now, after something like bishop to e6, knight to f3 is immediately a checkmate. Really crazy stuff. So this is not working. So you would have to escape with your king here to g1, and then of course we fix the position, knight to f5, but after bishop to f5, you don't take the bishop immediately with queen to f5 or something. Then you could be vulnerable here to some attacks. You first of all take, and then after something like king to f2, now you play rook to h5. You don't have to rush to pick up the piece, and now after rook to f5, you still have a protection of your b2 pawn, b7 pawn here, pardon me, and then you get the rook on this first rank, and the game should be over, I think, here for white. So you see, after move f5, f3 is not possible. You could maybe try rook to e6, but then f4 is happening and similar stuff, so it could be very dangerous. So that's why after move f5, here RubiChess tried bishop to g4, but I would again say mission accomplished for black. The main strategic goal that we have talked about, trading off the light square bishop, is finally working. Black is again kept a little bit with the bad bishop here. Too many pawns are on dark squares. In a potential fully endgame stage, I would say this dark square problem could be a huge problem. Imagine just this position without the rooks, without the queens on the board, just with the minor pieces, with the knight and the bishop, and with this same pawn structure. I think in any of these lines, black is winning a simple endgame, I think. So that's why white has the initiative, white has maybe the better piece activity, but white has to do something first of all, has to destroy somehow black's king. If this game reaches the fully endgame stage, I think, as I said, simply black is completely winning. So here RubiChess tried this idea, rook to e6, but now Leela C Zero shows its main plan, knight to f8. A really great move. Look at this, the rook has to step back. Now we have f4, the bishop is locked. Here RubiChess calculated that it could get many pawns here, that it could get this pawn and also get this pawn. RubiChess is thinking here, is calculating here that it has enough compensation for the lost bishop. But here Leela C Zero continues, first of all with rook to g7. It's not rushing here. So Leela C Zero first of all regroups, says I can take the bishop whenever I want to take, but first of all I have to improve my pieces. I have to first of all secure my king further with the rook. So we have now, after rook to g7, rook to e5, now Leela C0 takes, f takes g3, we have now f takes g3 too, and you see now white king is perfectly fine. White king is so far secured, and Leela C0 has still these problems about this pawn on d5. Of course, RubiChess get challenged in this way. Rook to h5, RubiChess takes out now, and now Leela C0 plays a beautiful move. Queen takes d5, rook takes d5, and now rook takes d5. So now RubiChess has a queen for 2 rooks and 1 minor piece, and still has a great active play. Leela C0 will do here really crazy thing. Many of us, I think, would even mess up this position. First of all, what RubiChess is doing is playing a great move a6. After something like b5 that Leela C0 played, now RubiChess gets the queen into the game, and Leela C0 is trying somehow to hold the position, tries of course to protect the b5 pawn. But now after king to g1, Leela C0 plays, I think, the most beautiful move of this game, plays now an amazing rook to h6. And I think this game shows the differences between human chess and AI chess. I'm not sure how many of us would play this move, rook to h6. This is such an amazing, stunning, brilliant idea here by Leela C0. Leela gives up now all of these pawns here in the center of the board, but just in order to activate the pieces. You see, the top engines are always doing this. They're always evaluating as a better thing piece activity than just pure material. And you see now with this tiny little maneuvers, okay, white took a couple of pawns here, but now Leela C0 regroups. Leela C0 gets the pieces on better squares. This is, I think, a huge change. I'm not sure how many of us, as I said, would play simply this move rook to h6. Many of us would, I think, try to keep somehow the pawns on the board, would try somehow to keep maybe the rooks connected, but it would be then very a tough position to handle. Rook to h6, the most important move, I think, of this game. Look at this. Leela C0 gives up now the pawns, but has now a great formation. Now gets the knight on a beautiful square on f6, and gets also the rook now on e7. Gets also now the king towards the center, like you're supposed to play in the endgame. In endgames, you should, of course, play actively with your king, because when you think about it harder, okay, white can maybe deliver a couple of checks somehow with the queen, but the queen doesn't have support. If there would be maybe one minor piece still on the board, then white would have, of course, good chances. But now with king to f7, black is perfectly fine. Here RubiChess is trying to play this idea queen to f1, and then maybe slowly push the pawn here with h5. But here Leela C0 doesn't care. Plays simply again a good solid reposition of the piece. Is trying now to keep everything glued together and keep everything compact here in the center of the board. Queen to f5, rook to e8. Now comes the critical moment. Okay, RubiChess has now the active queen, and you can now choose between c5, d5 or h5. You can play many of these moves, but I'm thinking now that nothing is working here. Look at this. If you try here c5, then seems tempting, of course, and then the huge threat is d5. But actually, black can get out of this mess with rook to e1. If you try now to play the move h5, then we attack simply this pawn here. If you try c3, then rook to d5, and look at this. This pawn is lost on h5. So the good part about this setup here for black is that the knight is a good protector against the queen, so the queen can never deliver checks maybe here on d7 or on h7. So see c5 here after the move rook to e8. So let's see again c5. It's not such a dangerous position because, as I said, black can play rook to e1 after something like h5, or can maybe try c3 to keep your position, I don't know, solid here on this side of the board. Then rook to d1. Look at this, you're pushing the pawn further, and now there are even some checkmate threats. This is also something that we should consider. Maybe again you can deliver us, I don't know, you cannot even do any checks here. That's I think here the issue. So c5 is simply not working here. So what should you do? After rook to e1, you can maybe try h5, but as we said, rook to d8, you can maybe try here even the move queen to g6. But I don't know, we get the king here, you're trying to push it further. Now we can take out this pawn, and again, you're close enough to the action. You can now get this rook into the game. Maybe you can even allow the promotion here. But now look at this, after rook to h5, here we have queen to h5, knight to h5, and this is game over. here for white. So you see c5 is so far not working. Let's see this other options. If you play d5, d5 seems also tempting, but again, we simply attack the queen. The queen has to step back. Again, this idea, rook to e1, with the idea maybe to get these rooks on the first rank and trying to deliver checkmate. Maybe in this scenario, white will simply try with queen to f5, but now you simply play like this, h5, and then rook to e1. You see again, no good checks are possible. You can just prolong the game maybe with queen to g6, but no good stuff is possible. We'll simply get out of these attacks, and if you take even the knight, then you get checkmated here on h1. So this not working. So that was our analysis. After rook to e8, you see d5 and c5 are simply not working here for white. So that's why here h5 was played by RubiChess, but now Leela C Zero continues with rook to h8. We have now this check. Here Leela steps back. We have h6, and now rook to g8, again attacking the queen. Queen to f5, king to f7. We have now c5. If you play here d5 again, it's also not so dangerous. Rook to e1. You're trying again the tactic of these pieces. Now we get an attack, but then again you played on this idea. Rook to b1. You're simply controlling everything. You get this rook into the game, and now we simply pick up the pawn. So the problem again for white is white can push this pawn a little bit, but never really till the end. So it's also not a good continuation here. Here for white. So you see after queen to f7, d5 is not so good. So here that's why c5 was played by RubiChess, but now Leela continues with rook to e4, queen to f2, rook to h8, simply attacking this pawn, getting the king closer. Look at this, the c6, and now finally rook to h6. Okay, RubiChess is trying still to battle with these pawns. Play simply d5. We have rook to e8, d6, and now a check. A good check here by Leela. Rook to e1, king to f2, and the problem for black actually here is that you cannot play the fork. Seems tempting, seems really crazy, and seems so that you're winning the game immediately, but actually look at this. After king to e1, knight takes d2, king takes d2, we have now two connected pass pawns on the 6th rank, and always these pawns are winning against the rook, so you can maybe try to get them with rook to e6, but now you can get even a check. White simply steps back, and now we push this other. You take out this one, but now this one is promoted, and the game is over here for black. So look at this. After king to f2, you cannot play the fork. Really crazy position. So that's why rook to e5. Now the fork is obvious, because here if you try now d7, it's a different story. Knight to e4, and now this is completely winning. We simply win the queen without losing another piece. So this is now game over. Here for white. So after here rook to e5, RubiChess tried queen to b4. We have knight to e4 check, and now knight takes d6. Good move here by Leela again with the discovered check. White has to step back, and now I think this is completely winning here for black. Leela C Zero got these pawns that were dangerous, these passers. Now white doesn't have even this connected pass pawns. These pawns that were possible to push on the C and D file. Now I think this position is simply collapsing here for white. So after king to d1, rook to d5, we have now rook to e4 attacking the queen. Now a new attack, and now you see Leela C Zero finally regrouped. The pieces now are really on the optimal squares. They're dancing here in front of white's king. They're putting more pressure against white's position. Queen to f4. Now of course here rook to c5, attacking this one. So this is not a good position. Okay, here RubiChess took this pawn, but simply Leela C Zero gets towards the center. You can always deliver a couple of checks, but no support for the queen. That was the issue that we have talked about. Queen to c7. We have now queen to g7, king to b6, and what should you do? Even if you deliver a check here with queen to b7, then you simply go here to a5. You can maybe take out this one, but then look at this. Then you get checkmated. you just simply deliver check here and game over. For instance, if you try king to d1, then we deliver check like this, and then also with rook to c1, it would be game over here for white. So these three pieces are always delivering check against white's king. So that's why after king to b6, here queen to b2 was played by RubiChess. What black should not do here is to play king to a6. If you play king to a6, many of us would play this maybe, but it's actually a draw. Look at this. After something like queen to b7, now we pick up this one. We always deliver check, and you cannot get your king again to the c file, because with queen to b2, you're getting checkmated immediately. So this is not working. This is very crazy position. So that's why after queen to b2, Leela C Zero played the correct move. King to a5. Here RubiChess is trying to deliver some checks. Now Leela C Zero took another pawn, covers here. Look at this, keeps simply at everything compact, glued together. As I said, all of these pieces are protecting each other. Look at this. The rook is protecting the knight is protecting this rook. So optimal position here by Leela C Zero. Queen to d3, rook from a to c4, and RubiChess is trying to push the pawns. Knight to c3. We have now knight to a2, king to d2, knight to b4. Again, new check here by RubiChess, but now after queen to b3, rook to b4, new attack. Here, Leela C Zero goes for this other pawn. RubiChess is, of course, playing the only moves here, just delivers checks, but never really can do anything. No support for the queen. And now Leela C Zero takes another pawn. King to e1, a5, king to f2, a4. We have now queen to a3, rook to g4, protecting now this pawn, this pass on the a file. We have queen to a2, rook to c5. Now Leela C Zero takes another pawn, so the position is collapsing. Queen to f7, king to a6. And now Leela C Zero pushed the pawn further. Queen to a2, rook to c4. We have now king to h2, and now after knight to e5, look at this, king to h1. Leela C Zero gets this knight into the game. There is even now the checkmate threat on c1, so that's why RubiChess has to create a space, a square here for the king to escape. But now rook to c1, and now after rook to c2, this is really game over. RubiChess went even there with king to h3, rook takes a2, and now after king takes g4 in this particular position, after 133 moves, RubiChess resigns. So we have seen really a long game. I'm sorry about that. It was really a suffering game, tough game to play for both sides, but I think this was really epic. This is simply pure AI chess. Amazing ideas, amazing tactics, amazing strategies, amazing reposition, amazing king movement by Leela C Zero. So in my opinion, really great game from the TCEC season 26. So okay, I hope that you enjoyed this game. I really enjoyed it a lot. Crazy Winawer variation of the French defense. Maybe this game could be your cornerstone in your preparation if you're playing the Winawer French. I think it's a solid line that you can play with this ideas that we have seen by Leela C Zero. So maybe when we watched out these games, maybe you're, I don't know, braver to play these openings, maybe in which you have lost some games previously and then you stop to play them because you're getting destroyed. But when we watch AI chess, anything is possible. I think you can play many openings, you can play many surprise elements, many different sidelines, different opportunities. So that's why I like these games, because they're giving us new chances in our home preparation in any opening. So okay, if you want to see some other AI chess games, check out our commented chess games played by computers. Here's the link of our playlist, and if you like this content, hit the subscribe button. See you soon with some more videos, and what do we say in the end? Chess is the best, of course.